I was ranking SEC quarterbacks, and I had Nico second, only to Carson Beck of Georgia. A lot of really good quarterbacks. We've discussed this. A lot of really good quarterbacks in this league, but I'm just, from what little I've seen, and granted, just one start, his talent is undeniable. And the reason I have Carson Beck ahead of him is because of experience, great supporting cast, and he showed me he can handle the pressure of SEC football.
No, I agree. Let's get to 4 downs. That's brought to you by our friends at Dynasty Pools and Spas.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
The message board says John the Goat Adams has Nico correctly at number 2. And we're going to pretend that I didn't play the wrong element there, and we're just going to do that again. 4 downs brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas.
4 downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
downs. A presentation of offthehooksports.com.
All right, we were going to lead up to where Nico's ranked, but John decided to go ahead and tell us. So that was going to be 4th down, but it turned out to be a pre-snap penalty on John on 1st down. But that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in the hot tub with Cooper Mays. Cooper, what should people do?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Yes, and I haven't said that enough. Hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. What down, Coop?
Coop here. 1st down.
All right, let's talk Nico. Could you see him? Let me start with John and then Caleb, and I'm going to pitch some questions at you, Ben Joyce style. And first question is, could you see Nico at the end of the year being better than Carson Beck? In other words, how high are you on Carson Beck versus the potential of Nico?
Well, I'm very high on Carson Beck. Watching him develop last year in his first season as a starter, the way he got better over the course of the season, his accuracy, his release, all that stuff is really good. And he handled the pressure. He was under a lot of pressure. He's not the reason Georgia didn't make it to the championship game. So I don't know how that would play out. I mean, I just think he has more talent around him. But I do think there's a chance that at the end of the year, people will see, even though Nico's not first team All SEC, and maybe Carson Beck won't be either. There are a lot of good quarterbacks in this league, but I think they will see when it comes to just sheer talent that Nico is the guy. I just don't see how you can think otherwise. I mean, he's 6'6", and he scrambles around and moves around like Johnny Manziel, who was about 6 feet. He's got those instincts and the ability to improvise so effectively. He's got everything it takes to be a superstar in the SEC. So he's one of those guys. I think fans may look at him and say, okay, those quarterbacks have better numbers, but this guy, Nico, he's the guy. He's the one with the talent.
Caleb, what do you think?
I think there's a very good chance he could be number 1, and it's almost a disappointment if he doesn't finish number 1, even though I agree with John Adams to have Carson Beck ahead of him now. And the reason I bring that point up is I make this very simple. Josh Heupel or Mike Bobo, who are you taking as an offensive coach? Like, who's more likely to make Mike Bobo is the reason Georgia's not in the SEC in the national title. That's the worst called game I've ever seen an offensive coordinator call, and I nailed it that he's not a good offensive coordinator.
Well, wait a second. Don't answer that question.
Cooper Mays here. 2nd down.
2nd down. Does Mike Bobo hurt Carson Beck's chance to be better than Nico Iamaleava? That was the hardest sentence I've ever uttered in 25 years of journalism.
Is that question for me or John?
Go, Caleb. I was sipping coffee. I thought, or John, either one.
I just made my case. 1,000% yes. 1,000% yes. He's one of the worst offensive coordinators in the SEC.
All right, John, does Mike Bobo hurt Carson Beck?
Well, compared to what Georgia had before him, it's not the same as Georgia's last coordinator, who did a wonderful job with Stetson Bennett.
He did. No, he did.
He did.
What down now, Coop, as we jump in the hot tub, brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right. Who is third? And do you feel confident, John, on your list? Maybe give me 3, 4, and 5, and even a dark horse of Nico being number 2. Could someone surpass him by the end of the year? And if so, who might that be?
Well, there are plenty of guys back there. I mean, Jackson Dart's in a good offensive system. He's surrounded by talent. Ole Miss's quarterback. He got much better last season as opposed to in 2022. He's cut down on his mistakes. Quinn Ewers at Texas had the Longhorns in the playoffs. Jalen Milroe with Alabama, just an incredible athlete. Maybe he will do well. Maybe he in this new system. Kalen DeBoer, I'm sure, will shape the offense to his talents because he doesn't have much of an option otherwise. But with all those guys, I see, even though they've proven themselves and done very well, and even Quinn Ewers, I mean, in that playoff game, I just thought there were plays he should have made that he didn't. And I'm really grading hard here. I really am. I mean, that's why I could say a lot of people might say, well, Quinn Ewers is better than Carson Beck. I don't think so. I think Beck is just a little more accurate. I trust him a little more.
Yeah, no, I agree. Caleb hates when I say this, but the eye test, Carson Beck looks like he could be a really good quarterback for a really long time, both at the next level as well. If
Where
there's
did
one
you get that I hate when you say that?
the eye test thing, I don't know. A lot of people do. Not you.
Okay.
All right, Caleb. So if there's a quarterback that's going to be the second best quarterback in the SEC, who would it be, Caleb, before we get to fourth down?
The second best that wouldn't be Carson Beck or Nico, I guess, right?
Correct.
So, okay, so I would go, and I wanted John Adams' take on this. Is I would go Garrett Nussmeier, and I understand Mike Denbrook is gone, but wasn't Joe Sloan kind of the brains behind Jane Daniels last year anyway as the quarterbacks coach, the new LSU offensive coordinator?
I'm not sure on that. I was very high on Garrett Nussmeier before this past season. I thought he could compete with Jaden Daniels for that starting position. Daniels turned out to be the best quarterback in the country. I'm not as high on him as I was. Huh?
Oops.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, he's got a really good arm. He makes plays. I think Garrett Nussmeier needs receivers more than Jaden Daniels needed them. Jaden Daniels could do so many things on his own but yeah, after the Florida State game last year, I think Garrett Nussmeier needs to be the quarterback, not Jaden Daniels, but I was dead wrong on that one. Jaden Daniels just took off after that. So he's one of the players I'm really curious about because I think he has a nice upside, and but I haven't seen enough of him. He's got this potential, so I'm real curious as to what Nussmeier will become. Who was the LSU quarterback? Now he was at Texas A&M. Max Johnson. When I saw Max Johnson as a freshman, I thought, man, this guy's going to be really good. He beat Florida in the swamp. I thought this guy's going to be really good. It didn't work out that way. I was wrong about him too.
But in all fairness, we're talking to the person who had Garrett Nussmeier winning the Heisman last year. So fourth, is that too strong? Fourth down, Coop.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
Okay. If indeed Nico Iamaleava is the second best quarterback or better in the SEC, what does that mean for Tennessee? Where did they end up? 4 downs brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. Having the best spas made right here in the United States of America in your backyard. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Their showroom is open in Athens, right off the interstate. You can stop by and check out the best hot tubs and spas in the market. And then delivery, yes, they can do that to Knoxville or Chattanooga. They've got complete support, spa cover, and chemicals to keep your spa bubbling at its best. They also have pool chemicals as well. Dynasty Pools and Spas, amazing discounts for first responders, military, and even some blemish models that can save you a ton, and no one will ever notice. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Go to dynastypoolsandspas.com or stop by that showroom in Athens. dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas. So, John, let me ask you this. If Nico is the second or better quarterback in the SEC, where does Tennessee end up?
I think it ends up in the football playoff.
I do too. Caleb?
I think they end up in the football playoff too. I just think that obviously, as LSU showed last year, you can have an amazing quarterback, but if your defense isn't up to snuff, that you can still have issues.